Okay, so picking up right where we left off, what we're going to do now is we're going to add click functionality to the cooking patties, and that way when you click on them, they will automatically appear in the next open bun. So to do that, we have to modify something that we already did. In the bin control script, which is attached to the various bins, we want to look at the section that controls the buns. So if the game object is bun bin, what we do right now is if it's set to empty and the bun bin is being clicked on, then that is then set to full. Okay, so both the object gets instantiated and this variable gets changed to full. Well, full no longer meets our needs. We don't want binary. We don't want empty or full. We want to know if it's empty, or if there's a bun there, or if the bun has a patty with it. So now we're looking for 3 statuses, and by the end of this tutorial, maybe not this video but the series, this might actually go out to 4 or 5 different variables. So rather than changing to full, let's change it to just bun, because that's what we want to be able to detect. Now doing this does not break what we've got here, because this checks to see if it's set to empty. Well, changing it to just bun is still different than empty, so this will still work. So even though it doesn't say full, this still works because we weren't actually checking to see if this variable was set to full. We're just checking to see that it's not equal to empty. So this should still work. So let's go to our cook food script, which is attached to the patty, and now we want to see if the patty has been clicked on. So outside of start, outside of update, add void on mouse down. This is a predetermined, predefined routine, so it has to be capitalized O, M, and D, and the other letters are lowercase. It is case sensitive. So what's going to happen is when you're clicking on the patty, we want to be able to determine which slot has a not only has a bun, but the bun does not already have a patty in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to check those. Again, we're going to check those static variables. So it's going to be very similar to this, but I'm not going to copy and paste because there are enough differences. But the principle is the same. It's in the on mouse routine. We're checking the name of what we're clicking on. We're going to check the corresponding variable, instantiate. Well, actually, we're not going to instantiate. In this case, we're just going to move the patty, and then we're going to set the variable for that position on the bin, not on the bin, excuse me, on the cutting board to the new value. So, quick recap: cook food is attached to the patty. When the patty has been clicked on, then we want to check if gameplay dot cutting board S1 and this is where the just bun comes in. So we really don't want to check for all the statuses that we're not interested in. We don't want to check to see if it's empty. We don't want to check to see if it has a bun with a patty. We really just want to see, is it available? And that's really all that matters. So if cutting board S1 is equal to just bun, which is the condition we're looking for, then get component, transform dot position equals new vector 2, and we're going to put in an X and a Y. So let's just come back over here for a minute and check to see where the X and Y is going to be. So the bun has 3 defined locations. predefined locations. So let's go to instantiate. So this is slot 1. It's set at -1, -0.5. So -1, comma -0.5, and we have to drop in the F. And then we would change the value to something that we're not using yet. So we'll call it, let's call it full bun. But even that we may change. And then else, and now it's rinse and repeat. So if cutting board S1 is set to just bun, then go ahead and move the hamburger to that location. If it's not, so else, you're now going to check slot 2 and slot 3. So S2, S2, S3, S3, and then the corresponding locations which we get from the instantiate commands. So 0, -5, 1, so they move over by 1 position each. Now they might not line up exactly right, and the reason for that is because the bun and the hamburger are not quite the same size. So it's important to, like I said, when you're first making your graphics, your images, make sure you line them up, make sure you have a plan. So we may have to tweak these, and it's no big deal if they don't quite fit. Let's save that. Now this should work. Let's click that. Click that. Perfect. It appeared. Now let's not put anything there, and it should not appear there. Perfect. Now we click, and it does appear. Keeps cooking though, so we'll have to fix that. So the reason why it keeps cooking is because it starts to cook as soon as this activates, as soon as this object is instantiated, and it doesn't stop. So now we're going to have to put a condition in here. So suppose we could check to say its location. That'd be the easiest way. We could say, okay, well, if obviously if it's over here, it's not in the grill, and therefore it should stop cooking. So it's not the cleanest way to do it. You're probably better off creating a variable, but for now, let's do that. So so we'll say and transform dot position dot x, because that's really all we care about. If its horizontal position is less than, if it's greater than 2, because we said that the positions for the hamburgers are, so that's the bin control, they're at 6, 7, and 8. So if it's less than 6, then it can stop cooking. So we'll say greater than 5, just to be safe. Okay, so what we did is originally it just checked for cooking time. It's just checking what this variable is set at. Now it's saying, okay, only change the color if this, if the position is there. That's something else that we may tweak too, actually, because right now we're just changing the color. We really haven't set a variable saying that it's cooked or it's raw or it's burnt. So we might be able to do it based on color. We might have to create a variable going forward. So now we'll click on the hamburger. Make sure it doesn't move. Put a bun. Move it. Put 2 more. Now we need to fix this because it doesn't realize the slot is empty. But as you can see, this is working. Okay, so let's do that and then see how long this video is. Might do a little bit more. So what we've done is when we move the hamburger, so that's part of the cook food script because cook food is attached to the patty. When we click on it, if it moves, we want that corresponding slot to be empty. So let's just go ahead and check the position of what's being clicked on and use that to be the determination of which slot is going to be set back to empty. Since you're assigning the exact position, you're assigning a constant to the object whenever it goes under the grill, then you should just be able to look at that position and determine which slot therefore should be set to empty when you've clicked on it. So make sure it's outside of this if. Okay, so it needs to be, actually, we could just put it above these because they're going to be 2 separate ifs. One is not contingent upon the other. So if transform dot position dot x, whoops, double equals, no quotes since we're checking for a number. And again, we said the positions are 6, 7, and 8, so because that's where they're being instantiated. So if position is equal to 6, then we want something to happen. What do we want to happen? Well, position 6 is slot 1, so gameplay dot grill slot 1, sorry, is equal to empty. Okay, so this script is attached to an object, namely an instantiated patty. Okay, you've clicked on an instantiated patty. If the horizontal position of that patty is at 6, then therefore the corresponding grill slot should be set to empty, because that is where grill slot 1 is always located. And since you're only clicking on 1, these don't have to be else's. We might come back and change that, but for now they should not have to be else's. I suppose it might perform ever so slightly better, because once 1 is met, it can skip the other code, whereas now every single time you click, it has to check all 3. Again, I'm not worried about optimization for a game like this. It's a casual game. It's not really system resource intensive, but I think the cleanest thing would probably be dropping a couple else's. That way, once it hits the right one, it can stop. So void on mouse down, a left click is being checked for. If the position, the X position of what you're clicking on is at 6, then the corresponding grill variable should be set back to empty. think that should do it. So let's go ahead and click on the bun. Let's go ahead and click on the hamburger. You move it. It shouldn't keep cooking. We already fixed that. And there we go. Just like that. So now let's do 2. Perfect. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for this lesson, unless I just entered a bug and don't realize it. If I did, then I will check in between videos, but that should do it for this video.